A few weeks ago, someone close to me went in for a routine checkup. Nothing urgent, just a standard visit. At the end of the appointment, they were handed a list of recommended vaccines, several of them, all suggested for people over 60. And like many people, the first instinct was simple. If it's recommended, it must be right for me. But here's something important to understand. As we age, our bodies don't respond the same way they once did. And that includes how the immune system reacts. This doesn't mean vaccines are bad. Not at all. Many vaccines are incredibly important and can protect against serious illness. But it does mean one thing. Not every option is equally appropriate for every person, especially after 60. Today, I want to walk you through something that often doesn't get enough attention: how the aging immune system changes, and why it's important to ask the right questions before making decisions. Because the goal is not to avoid protection. The goal is to choose what fits your body best. Let's start with understanding what actually changes inside your body over time. Your immune system doesn't just become weaker with age, it changes in two important ways. First, there's something called low-level inflammation. Over time, the body can stay in a slightly activated state, even when there's no infection present. Second, the part of the immune system responsible for learning and adapting becomes less efficient, which means responses can be less predictable. So when the immune system is stimulated, the reaction may not always be the same as it was years ago, and this is why personalization becomes so important. What works well for one person may need adjustment for another. This is especially true when multiple health factors are involved. Things like heart health, medications, or existing conditions. That's why instead of thinking in terms of good or bad, it's more helpful to think in terms of appropriate for me right now. Now let's go through several examples where this kind of thinking becomes important. The first example involves flu vaccines. There are different types available. Some are standard dose, others are designed specifically for older adults. And while these options can be helpful, it's important to understand the differences. Some formulations are designed to create a stronger immune response, which can be beneficial. But in some individuals, especially those with certain health conditions, it may also lead to stronger temporary reactions. That's why it's worth asking your doctor a simple question. Which option is best for my specific health profile? Not just your age, but your overall condition, your medical history, and your current medications. This small step can make a meaningful difference. Now let's look at another situation that often raises questions. The next example involves multi-dose vaccines. Some vaccines are given in more than one step. The first dose prepares the immune system. The second strengthens the response. And in many cases, this approach works very well. But some people notice that their response to the second dose feels different from the first, stronger, more noticeable. And while that can be a normal reaction, it's still something to be aware of, especially if you've experienced sensitivity to previous treatments. This is where timing and preparation may matter. Giving your body enough time between doses, making sure you feel well before receiving the next one, and discussing any previous reactions with your doctor. All of these steps help make the process smoother. Now let's move to situations involving travel. Travel-related vaccines are another area where individual decisions become important. Some are recommended for specific regions, and in many cases, they provide valuable protection. But travel itself is a choice. And that means you also have options. For some people, adjusting travel plans, choosing lower risk areas, or focusing on preventive measures like hygiene and protection may be part of the conversation. The key is understanding both sides, the benefit of protection, and the context of your personal health. This is especially important when planning longer trips or travel to remote areas. Now let's look at something else many people don't think about. Another important point to understand is the difference between types of vaccines. Some use inactive components, others use weakened forms designed to train the immune system. Both approaches have their place. But for older adults, this distinction can matter because your body may respond differently depending on the type. This doesn't mean one is always better than the other. It means your personal situation should guide the decision. That includes your current health, medications, and overall resilience. This is why asking the right questions becomes so important. Not complicated questions, simple ones. What type is this? Is there an alternative? Which option is usually better tolerated at my age? These questions shift you from passive to informed, and that's where better decisions happen. Now let's talk about something many people overlook: your current medications. As we get older, it's more common to take multiple prescriptions, and each one can influence how your body responds to new inputs. Your immune system doesn't work in isolation. It interacts with everything else in your body. So when something new is introduced, your system responds as a whole. That's why it's helpful to look at the full picture, not just one recommendation at a time. Bringing a complete list of your medications to your doctor and asking how everything works together can help avoid unnecessary stress on your body. It's a simple step, but it can make a big difference. Another situation where awareness matters is when something is offered quickly. For example, at a pharmacy or during a routine visit. It's easy to feel like you need to decide immediately, but in most cases, you have time. Time to ask, time to think, time to understand. And that pause is valuable because it allows you to move from automatic decisions to thoughtful ones. There's nothing wrong with saying, "I'd like to learn a bit more about this first," or "Can we review my options?" These are normal, responsible questions, and any good healthcare provider will respect them. Now let's bring everything together. This is not about avoiding care. It's about improving how you approach it. Your body today is not the same as it was 20 or 30 years ago, and your decisions should reflect that. What matters most is alignment. Choosing options that match your current needs, your current health, your current priorities, because the goal is simple: stay protected, stay informed, and support your body in the most balanced way possible. Just 10. Final. So here's one thing I recommend. Before your next appointment, take a moment to prepare. Write down your questions. Bring your medication list. Think about your health history. And go into that conversation with clarity, not hesitation. Because when you understand your options, you make better decisions. And those decisions shape how you feel over time. If this gave you a new perspective, take a moment to reflect on your current approach. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this, share it with them. Sometimes one conversation can make everything clearer. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.